Hey, welcome back. All the research shows that you guys like small videos, and that's why I break this up, because nobody's going to sit and watch me talk for 35 minutes. So, now we're going to go through the parts of your plan. Before we do that, I want to show you the actual plan template, okay? So this is, if you go on to Canvas and you go to the assignment for, assignment for your training demo, this is under the training demo plan. This is the template that we want you to use. And so we're going to talk about title, objectives, blah, blah. You will fill this in. Do not print this out and write on it, because your handwriting is terrible and we want to be able to actually read it. Some people are like, oh gosh, I got to make my plan fit on one page. And those people would be surprised to learn that in Word, you can actually make things bigger. That's a thing that people struggle with. So, and you'll see here how, in the last video, we have this sort of audience analysis, sort of preamble business, but then it goes straight into the prepare, show, do, review, right? Okay, cool. Now, again, with these, we're looking for 2 to 3 pages of stuff here. Some people are like, step 1, plants, and that's terrible. Don't do that. You really want to write this with such a degree of specificity that you could hand it to your buddy and they could do your talk, okay? Or something close to that. And again, the logic here is that we have you do really detailed plans. We don't count them for a lot of points, but that's so that you can turn in your plan. We can tear up your plan with lots of comments, and maybe you lose 50%, but it's only worth 5 points in the grand scheme of things. And then you get to do a really good talk because you've gotten great feedback on your plan. And so because the plans are important, but our job is to help you, do really good speeches. And so, so you want to take time, and you want to, the more specificity that you can give us, the more, the better feedback your TA can get. Because sometimes, people give us stuff and they've just got, step 1, I'm going to talk about this. And it's not real in depth. And you're like, all right, well, I think this is going to be okay. Or it could be really terrible, but I can't tell because you didn't give me enough information. So definitely take some time and fill this out at length. Okay. All right, that's enough about that. Let's go back over here. And so I'm not going to belabor the point because we did talk about this a little bit in our last talk, but you do want to have really good titles, right? Because titles are important, as we discussed. So be creative, be concise, but also to the point, which kind of means the same thing. And you always want to think of your title as a headline in a newspaper, in which it sort of advertises what's inside so that people will want to look inside. So I'm actually going to have you try some of this in your comprehension check. You don't have to do this right now. It'll be in your comprehension check later. So other things, again, moving right along here. So we've talked about title. We're going to come back to objectives. But now we're getting into this stuff here. References and equipment. Okay, so here's something about references. Sometimes people are like, I just knew this. And I'm like, oh, God, okay, sorry. You're not born with knowledge, okay? And so sometimes people are think, well, I grew up on a farm, and that's why I know all about chainsaw safety. I'm like, okay, that's great, but one of the things that we do with references, you always think of it in terms of not plagiarizing, and so that's why you list references to show that you didn't make stuff up. A better way to think about references, and this is not, I'm just not making this up, this is a true story, is that references should be, if I look at your talk, and at the end of your talk you have your references, which you should, you should list references so that I can find more information about whatever the thing is. Because I obviously, I was born on a farm, but let's pretend for a moment that I was not. And I would be like, man, I really wish that I could learn about chainsaw safety, but I can't because I wasn't born on a farm and I will never have that experience, and now I will never learn about chainsaw safety. So what you want to do, if this is your thing, and even if you just know it, you want to find a place where it's written down and can cite it as a reference so that when people get to the end of your talk and they think, oh, I want to learn more about this, you're given some place, you've listed some places for them to find more information, okay? So at least 2 references that are not blogs by, right-wing conspiracy groups. So that's a thing that people do. We actually had a student come in and tell us, just recently, that children of vegetarians were dumber, and then they cited a blog that was written by Joe Blow. And so we'll talk more about references later, but scholarly sources, or at least quality sources, sometimes the news is good too. And again, because I knew is not a valid answer. Also, don't put, this is like a real thing that people put too. They listed their references as the internet, like literally wrote the internet and then hyperlinked it to Google. And those people failed because that's not, there is a lot of like memes and cats that you have to weed through to find the things on the internet. Anyway, all right, that's enough of that. So a list of visual aids and equipment that you'll need to be using. So again, this is almost like a reminder for yourself. And be like, all right, on the day of, and you're going to do your speech and you've thought all this out before, you refer to your plan. You're like, all right, got to bring my computer and the projector, and I can't forget the handouts, and oh crap, I need the wash basins for the DNA extraction thing. So write it all down, and then you won't forget it. So just as a aside, the Credible Hulk, that's perfect. Just as an aside, one of the things that you're going to do on your last quiz is you're going to write a Dear Future Student letter to somebody about your experience in the class and what advice you would give them. And I read all 120 of them. And I would say that probably 75% of them said, gosh, these plans were really helpful because they force you to think through the stuff. And so some of you think, wow, this is a nuisance. Like, no, this is the thing that helps you like have a good speech. So put the effort into it and think through it and then write it down. All right, so cool. So we talked a little bit about analyzing the audience in our last PowerPoint. But again, just think about like, how is the audience connected to the topic? What are they going to know about it? What do you need to know about the audience to make this thing? So think about demographics, what experiences they've had, maybe what region they're from, gender makeup, age makeup, and then write all that out here in this like background. Like, where do you think your fellow classmates stand? Like, how much knowledge are they going to have? What's their general age? What's the size of the group, right? Because a group of 20 is going to be a different dynamic than a group of 120. Trust me, I teach classes. And then like, what are their goals, expectations, and needs? And so you just kind of, these prompts are meant to help you sort of think through it. We're not looking for like a page here, but we're looking for, something more than like, oh, they're going to know about farm stuff, which is also a thing that we've had turned in. So take some time to think through that. Okay, so putting the plan together. So again, columns are notes for you, and sometimes headings, and then the right is for the content. See, genius stuff here, 2 columns. Sometimes people struggle with this. Steps, procedures. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. So use a box for each step and label the left side step 1 and then the name of the step. Okay, and you can actually, if you want to break it out and use more boxes, that's fine. But just generally, if you got 3 or 4 steps, have 3 or 4 boxes. Don't lump them together. Break them out so that you can follow it. And then include in there if you're going to have handouts or quizzes, etc., in part so that we know that you're having the right number of visuals and that your visuals are appropriate for your topic, but also so that you know at what point to hand out your quizzes or handouts or whatever. Okay, so instructional objectives. How are we doing on time here? Okay, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this in the next video.